I fucking hate Bart's Nightmare. Even as a kid, this game brought me nothing but frustration, and it broke my spirit. It's difficult, and for a reason. It's fairly short, and only has 5 minigames in it, besides the initial hub world, and it doesn't sound daunting until you actually play the game. So the story is, Bart fell asleep doing homework, which is typical Bart, but for some reason, he's having the worst nightmare because now his papers flew out the window and he has to go retrieve them through the streets of Springfield. It sounds easy. It's really not. Finding the pages is easy. Earning them is a whole other ballgame. So the first, in no particular order, is the Temple of Maggie, which is probably one of the hardest in the game. It's straightforward. You get from point A to point B, collecting dinosaur eggs and avoiding a painful death by Devil or Maggie's pacifier. And you get 1 life. 1 fucking life to get through 2 rooms full of platforms rising up and down, randomly throwing you into the abyss, pacifiers, devils, whatever have you. This one doesn't look very hard at first, but it is the one that I always tried to save to last because it is, how can I put this lightly, a fucking nightmare. The next one up is Bart's Bloodstream, and it's easy to die, but it's pretty straightforward. You blow up the germs, and you collect Smile and Joe fissions to unlock parts of the page. Now this one was probably my favorite as a kid because it was the easiest to grasp, the easiest to understand, and probably the easiest one to beat. As all you didn't even have to beat the germs, you just had to blow them up, grab the Smile and Joe fissions, and boom, you got the page. Next up is Itchy and Scratchy. Easily one of the most stressful ones from my childhood. You have to fight Itchy, Scratchy, seemingly your whole house that's trying to just kill you. There's a lot of things that kill you instantly, and 3 lives and you're done. The reason why I hated this as a kid is because it's seemingly unfair, just random popping out of nowhere killing you that gave you no chance, and the rinse and repeat kind of trial and error to try to get through it. Didn't seem fair to me as a kid, and even as an adult going back. It's just this constant barrage of bullshit that just eats away at you. I still, to this day, can almost not literally, legitimately beat it on my own. Then there's Bartman, the only one I actually beat as a kid. There's rockets, there's balloons, gas clouds, there's all sorts of different hazards to try and inhibit your progress. The problem with a lot of these is that they threw so much shit at you, it's hard to know what's coming next. You literally need to play multiple times to learn and anticipate and grow a strategy. And in games such as that, it almost seems like it's defeating the purpose. Yes, I understand that you have 5 levels, but to make them so frustratingly hard that you have to keep doing them over and over again, rinse and repeat, was kind of, you know, the NES and Super NES's and Sega Genesis, that kind of model, because they were so small they had to make them harder in order to get any replay value or any sort of replayability out of it, but at the cost of aggression? I mean, God, you want to build a serial killer, just fucking put him in front of this game. The last one is a shit stain of monumental proportions. You play as Bartzilla taking out tanks, helicopters, trains, and if you get to the other side of the road, somehow, in this weird amalgamation of random pop-ins from the right side of the screen, you get to climb a building and fight Margethra, I'm guessing is the name, because haha, Godzilla jokes, and Homer Kong. Yeah, I know. But again, it's meant to play multiple times and get the timing right. You're gonna see the street a lot. And And while we're at it, let's talk about the street. I mean, sure, they loaded in references galore, and sometimes it's hard to stay alive here. Jumping over mailboxes, avoiding Jebediah heads, trying not to get hit by the bus, trying not to be kissed by the old lady, basketballs that turned into skateboards, collecting Z's to keep you asleep, Seymour Skinner trying to not to turn you into a suave-haired citizen. I don't know. I could go on and on about this, but it seems like the street's the hardest part of it all because as you're trying to find the pages and trying to stay alive, they throw so much shit at you. It's just why are they throwing so much shit at you, man? This game is notoriously difficult, and I've never actually beaten it. And I don't know if I ever will. Even as an adult, 15, 20 years later or whatever, I went back and played it, and it's still kind of that frustrating experience that I've felt with a lot of games. And being not so much of a patient kid and being more of a patient adult, I figured I may have a better chance at beating it. And sadly, no, I haven't come close. Apparently it's just one of those things that you hone your skills, you come back and you try to get better at it every time. You don't win, you just do a little bit better, And so, it doesn't make it a bad game, but I've grown to hate it. And many other Simpsons games for that difficulty. Bart versus the World, Bart versus the Aliens, both of these, mostly any Simpsons game that has come out before the hit and run era, or the Simpsons wrestling, God forbid. Simpsons games were just notoriously difficult. As many old of those generation of games were, really. And in closing, I gotta say, I've been more patient as an adult. And perhaps I'll try it again and beat it this time. But Bart's Nightmare is one fucking nightmare I hope to Christ I never have. Actually, that brings me to an interesting point. Why don't I beat it? Why don't I finally break the shackles of this depression that this game has had over me for so many years? I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna beat Bart's Nightmare. That's right. For the first time in my life, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna beat Bart's Nightmare. I'm not gonna let it beat me. No. I am going to stand up to its difficulty, and I'm gonna shout from the rooftops that I can beat this game if I put enough patience into it. That's right. I'm gonna beat all the levels. I'm gonna beat Bart's Nightmare. I'm gonna beat Bart's Bloodstream. I'm gonna beat Bartman. I'm gonna beat it all. You know what? At the end, I'm gonna stand up and exclaim that I have finally conquered Bart's Nightmare. I did it. I did it. I beat the game. Are you kidding me? I beat it. What reward could I possibly get? That's it? You just look at the paper? I'm so glad I spent all those years beating this game. And that's Bart's Nightmare. Quite possibly one of the most frustrating parts of my childhood, and a very unsatisfying ending to my adulthood. And in closing, I fucking hate Bart's Nightmare.